Now, in Ruth chapter 3, Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to Ruth, my daughter, should I not seek rest for you, that it may be well with you? And just hold that right there. Because some time had passed between when Boaz and Ruth met. And Ruth lived with her mother-in-law throughout this harvest time. But Boaz hasn't made any other moves, and Ruth hasn't made any other moves. And so in the beginning of chapter 3, Naomi's going, all right, clock's ticking here. Like, what's going on? Do I need to find someone for you? What is this going to look like? And she says in verse 2, is not Boaz our relative, with whose young women you were? See, he's winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. Wash, therefore, and anoint yourself, and put on your cloak, and go down to the threshing floor. So mama-in-law is saying, listen, I like Boaz. I've heard good things. Nothing's happened. Go take a shower, put on some makeup, put on some nice clothes, and listen to what I'm about to say, because I got some good pickup lines. And then she says, but do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. And how many women know that's an amen right there? Right? If he's grumpy, give the man some food, he'll probably be fine. But when he lies down, observe the place where he lies, then go and uncover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what to do. And Ruth replied, all that you say, I will do. Now, there is some interesting stuff going on here that is very, very specific to this ancient time, where Naomi is saying to Ruth, make yourself up, look nice, all those things. And then after Boaz has harvested and done all the threshing and things, he's going to eat, he's going to drink, he's going to be in a good mood, he's going to lay down, he's going to rest. And then I want you to sneak into his room, lay down at his feet, and uncover his feet. Now, what is going on here? Because in our minds, she says, do not make yourself known to him. Go into his bedroom, lay at his feet, uncover his feet. And in our depraved way of thinking, we're like, uncover his feet. We know what that means. We like to uncover our feet too. See, that's the world that we think in. Obviously, our minds go to the gutter just a little bit. But realize we're dealing with two people who are of moral character and integrity. And what Ruth is doing by uncovering the feet of Boaz is she's actually sending a message that I and my family want to be under your covering. Now, God bless Boaz, who wakes up in a dark room with a stranger uncovering his feet. This is not how you win my heart. I'm just going to tell you all that right now. And he doesn't see her because he even says, who are you? He's not familiar with who is even in the room with him. In fact, in verse 9 of chapter 3, who are you? And she answered, I am Ruth, your servant. Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer. And he said, may you be blessed by the Lord, my daughter. You have made this last kindness greater than the first, in that you have not gone after young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you ask, for all my fellow townsmen know that you are a worthy woman. So Ruth says, I uncovered your feet because I want to be with you. And a proposal of marriage in this is one aspect for sure, but understand what she's saying when we know the weight of what being a redeemer is. She's asking him to fill all those roles. This is not, hey, take me out to dinner and who knows. This is massive devotion and commitment that Ruth is saying to Boaz, I want to be with you. And he says, blessed are you, because why would you want to be with me? You could have these younger men who there's a redeemer who's closer than I am. Why me? But blessed are you, because you didn't look for any of those things. You saw me. You do not fear. And because of that, for all that you're asking and what you want from me, if you're willing to step out for me, I'm willing to step out for you. And I love this story because of how respectful and beautiful this love story is. And make no mistake, it is a love story. Because we see that Boaz thought Ruth would never be interested in him because he clearly says here that he is older than her. And he would not be the first selection if you just went on that. But Ruth said, no, I see you. But there's a last line in that scripture that becomes so important that if you gloss over it, you may have missed the entire purpose of what's going on in this book here. And he says it to her. I will do for you all that you ask. Why? For all my fellow townsmen know that you are a worthy woman. And there are passages, there are translations that actually he says to her, you are a woman of excellence. And I know it's Father's Day, but let me just speak to the women in the room for just a moment. Can you be described as a woman of excellence? And if you think to yourself, well, not right now, let me just say this. No better time to start than right now. That to carry yourself and develop your character in a way that when you are spoken of someone who is of excellence. Now, excellence in what? Go back to what Boaz said. Excellence in the Lord. Not into all these other things that you deem important, but in the things that the Lord deems important. You become that person of excellence. And Ruth has displayed this all along when Boaz says, this is what I've heard of you. And then, since Ruth is a woman of excellence, this gives us insight into who Boaz is. Because I don't know if you know this, but you attract who you are. Let that marinate. If you want to be known as a person of character, you will attract people of character. If you attach to that in the Lord, character in the Lord, that's who you will attract. So where are you looking for those who you want to be around you? Are you just looking for anyone to surround yourself with? Or are you looking for people who have character and integrity in the Lord to surround yourself with? Because you know that when you're around them, they will lift you to the same place. And the opposite is true. Those who say, well, I want a missionary date and I want to bring people up to my place so that they'll be with the Lord. I can just tell you right now, there's not a good track record on that one. So pay attention to that in this moment. And Ruth, since she is a woman of excellence, understand that her decision, when Naomi told her, go and uncover Boaz's feet, she knows this is who I am. And I see that that's who he is because his workers love him. And the way he treats people, and the way he handles himself and carries himself, and the way that he instructed them not to harm me when he didn't have to do any of that, and the way that he said, put that food to the side for me when he didn't have to do any of that. And it wasn't because he wanted something from me, because he never came after me in that way. He let me live my life. He made sure I was provided for. This is someone who thinks so highly of me and respects me so much that he's not going to touch me, and he's not going to abuse me, and he's not going to do all of these different things that anybody else could have done to me all along. In fact, he made an order that said, make sure no one does that to her. That is what led Ruth to say, he is someone who I want to be under his protection because the Lord has him under his protection. Are you putting these pieces together? She is a woman of excellence. He is a man of excellence. God is bringing them together in this story. And because in this moment that Ruth says, I want you, and Boaz says, I want you, the story ends, right? Nope. If it was happening today, in this culture, the story ends because we care about our own personal happiness. If we want to be with someone, that's the way it is. That's how it's supposed to be. I made the decision. No one lives my life. It's my life. It's all about self. That's not how God works. In fact, God has an order. God has a way. Some might say, well, when Boaz and Ruth made that decision, she uncovered his feet. Well, I'm sure they probably had some relations after that. No, they didn't. Although, like, in this day and age, we're all too quick. Once we like someone, or we don't even have to like someone. If they got the right parts and we want to hook up with those parts, let's just go ahead and do it. If we want to test out this marriage thing without actually getting married, let's live together for a little while, let's go ahead and do it. You are acting outside of what God's way is for you. And then in the same breath, you want to turn around and say, God bless this. That's not how it works. And then people will search out and say, why God? Why has God done this? God hasn't done anything. You've made these decisions. And so in this case, Boaz and Ruth, who are people of excellence, who are people of character, they're people of integrity. Your character is how you carry yourself. Your integrity is your moral uprightness. It is what is known about you. So you put these things together. And let me just say to the young people in this room, your reputation of your character and your integrity is your currency in this life. As a pastor of this church, my character and my integrity are the only reason why you should listen. And once that's called into question, and make no mistake, there are those who sometimes want to attack that first, because people know if I can take down the character and the integrity of a person, no one will listen to them. So guard it. Guard it with all you have. When you walk into a space, understand this, and this is for all ages of a room. When you walk into a space, that room is not about you. That room is about how you can greet people, how you can show people you care, how you can smile, how you can say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. How can I serve you? How can I help you? I do it with a smile on my face, not because I have to. Greet people, and I walk into a room thinking, not how can this room serve me, but how can I serve this room? When you go about life in that way, people go, there's something different, there's something special, and that gives you an opportunity to say, it's the Lord. It's the Lord. And the Lord guides my steps in how I carry myself and how I go about life. So young people, understand this. Your most vital assets are your character and your integrity. Work hard to preserve it. Pay attention to how you carry yourself. Honor your father and mother. Be kind and considerate. Give your best in your work. Respect your elders. Follow God and His way. If you are dating someone, young men, you're dating a young woman, don't keep your hands off her. You might say, that doesn't sound very fun, and I agree. But she's not your wife. Young women, when you date a man, or you want to go out with a boyfriend, and his hands are all over you, or he says things to you that he wants to do, and your thoughts is this, well, I don't see why not. Just go back to your thoughts of what I'm talking about today, of your character and your integrity being in the Lord. Those things, if the relationship starts and it's all about those things, once those things don't become as passionate and as lovable, and make no mistake, those of you who are married in the room for a long time, let's all say it together, that goes away. And you have to fight to keep that. You have to be intentional in that. The very thing that attracts you to someone at first becomes the very thing that you have to fight for later on down the road. And that sounds weird, because believe you me, when I was 18, if you had told me that, I would have said, it ain't ever going to happen to me. Ain't ever going to happen to us. So you protect and guard those things. You make sure that your relationships are done in a way that honors the Lord. In fact, some of the best advice I ever heard when it comes to dating relationships and things like that is really what you are doing is you are spending time with someone to protect them, not to have your hands all over them, but to protect them for who they're going to be when they grow up. Not necessarily who they're going to be with or any of those kind of things, but that you would not do anything that would harm them in their emotions and in their physical presence and all those things, because you are not their keeper.